Streaming live around the world, this is Paper Cuts.
No! God, please, no! No!
With Brad and Jay.
We need like some name tags with our picture on it, all laminated and whatnot. I mean, we gotta look legit, man.
You sound insane. Do you realize that?
We are live.
Holy cow, we made it. We made it. And I believe my dog is barking in the background already, Brad.
That's okay.
What's going on? Paper Cuts. Here we are. What's up, everyone? What's going on, Bradley? How's your week?
It was eventful, Jay. How about your week?
Mine was somewhat eventful too. I had a little dental work done. About 5.5 hours of dental work.
That sounds like an amazing time.
You have a picture there. You want
to show the world what your mouth looks like?
My as Nikki would say, my predator.
Your predator face.
Yeah.
Can you see your predator face there?
Oh, jeez, look at that. Yeah, nice, huh?
Into the black hole's what that looks like.
Into some hole. What? Stop it already.
Stop.
That's
Don't, Jay.
Said. Okay.
No.
All right. We're done with that. So, welcome everyone. This is the finale of season 1 of Paper Cuts. And just because I said season 1, that means we must be having a season 2, right?
It depends on how this goes and if we still are friends after the show.
Well, I think we have somewhat of a schedule for season 2. It's starting to develop.
I think so. It's a secret.
But we're just taking a couple of weeks off. A handful of weeks. What, 3 weeks or so? 2 or 3 weeks?
2 or 3 weeks, something like that.
Yeah.
It's all your fault, really, is what it is.
Well, you have stuff planned too.
Not really.
I think, right?
I've got kids' birthdays next week, and I think your anniversary is the week after, and my wife will be out of town. So
yeah,
stuff going on.
The young one is doing some cheerleading and soccer and all sorts of stuff. So cool stuff. But anywho, we couldn't be happier with who we have for our guest, our finale of season 1 guest this evening. It's actually the first time we've chatted. First time
it is.
We're meeting this person here.
5 minutes ago, we met him.
Yeah, exactly. That's how we roll with Paper Cuts, right? But we have a lot to get to. Talk about writing. We're going to talk about music too, guys. And you know me, I got to fit music in there somehow. The writer of I do, which I saw mentioned in August Eyes earlier. The writer of Until Summer Comes Around and his latest August Eyes. And I don't know, 100 other books. Give it up for Glenn Rolfe, everyone. Hello.
What's going on, Glenn?
Oh, hey guys. Thanks for having me.
Are you working?
I am at work right now at the Hampton Inn that I work at. There's 2 of us. It's summer season's pretty much over for the most part. So it's a slow Friday and there's 2 of us on. So my coworkers to go out back and do your thing.
Oh, cool. So a little bit of, I watched a little bit of your show last night with Nikki. Had some technical issues. So tonight should be pretty good then, right?
Should be pretty good. I mean, at work on the Wi-Fi here at work, I was, there was all kinds of stuff happening yesterday, but we made it happen. We got through it somehow. So
don't jinx it, because I'll start having issues, or you'll start having issues.
I know it's time for one of us. I mean,
I've already got issues. So
yeah, Brad didn't show up for a whole show because of issues.
Yeah, power's out.
So yeah, so welcome to season finale of Paper Cuts that you probably just found out about just now, right?
Yeah, I just found out this is the season finale.
So you've been busy lately, because a couple weeks ago or so you were on Deadhead Space, and last night you were on with Nikki. How do you find time to do all this stuff?
I've got actually a lot of time on my hands right now. Yeah, summer was eventful. I'm actually going through a divorce, so I found myself. It is what it is. So
this show just changed. We just totally changed the show. Let's talk about that. I'll be Dr. Phil.
Oh, thanks.
Brad, you be Oprah, Brad. We're just.
You don't want me to be Oprah. Car for you and a car for you.
Exactly.
Yeah, I will take a new car if you've got one.
There you go. I wish.
But I mean, that's definitely changed the course of things right now, and it's kind of like relearning how to function in this new reality that I've got going on. So. Yeah. It's getting better, so it's different. That's all. So
on the bright side, I mean, you had a pretty big release recently, right?
Yeah, the new book came out on August 17th. I think it's available everywhere now through retail, online retail and stuff. So August Eyes, yeah, and I'm really proud of it. It came out really, really well. so I surprised myself. So I wasn't sure if I could pull it off or not, and I think I did.
Now, is this the second one from Flame Tree Press, or do you have another one?
Yeah,
for those who don't know, until
he's
summer
got-
comes around, it's also Flame Tree Press. But so this is the second one from them.
This is my second one with Flame Tree. Yeah.
Cool. So now you're like a Flame Tree Press icon, right?
Yeah. That's right.
Is it like an exclusive contract now? All the future ones released through them too.
Well, there is a deal we have regarding like when you finish a manuscript, they want to at least get the opportunity to make an offer on it.
Okay.
And the way I've been working with them actually is I will write an outline, a full outline for the book, which I've never done before Flame Tree, but since I've started working with Flame Tree, I would outline and send sample chapters. And based on those two things, they'll tell me if they want the book or not. They want me to write the book or not. So that's how both of these two books were done. So, but I've been working with Don Doria from Flame Tree back when he was with Sam Hain. So we have a history. So he's seen plenty of my work and has contracted plenty of my stuff before. So it's not like I came out of nowhere and said, "Hey, I've got an outline. What do you think?" We've had a pretty good relationship. With publishing and working with each other over the years. So
any
Flame Tree,
future
they
ones
seem
right
to-
now that you have ready? I'm sorry, Bragg. Any future ones you have ready now? No.
I have a new outline and sample chapters with Don for hopefully the next Flame Tree book. I'm still waiting to hear back on that one.
Okay. Go ahead, Brad. I'm sorry.
It seems like you're fine. It seems like Flame Tree, they keep a lot of the same authors in house. Like Jonathan Jans, I feel like has 100 books with them, and Hunter Shea,
Speaking
Catherine
of
Cavendish.
exclusive, yeah.
So is it they kind of have a first rights to take it or leave it kind of thing?
With Jans,
I don't know how much you could.
Jans definitely had his own separate deal, because I remember when Sam Hain went under after they got rid of Don, which was a huge mistake. But I think financially they just couldn't afford what they were trying to do. But Jans had a whole 10 books or something. I don't know if it was 10, maybe it was like 7 or something. He had a lot of books with them, and he held on to those, where a lot of us were trying to land the books with somebody else or put them out ourselves so that we could still have them out there. He held on to his, and then like most of us, I'm sure we were waiting to see where Don would land. And he worked out his own deal to get all those Flame Tree, all those Sam Hain titles released in the first year of Flame Tree. So Jans is a little bit different because he had all that stuff that he brought over. Whereas a lot of us had already placed those Sam Hain works with somebody else, so we couldn't just, bring them with us over to Flame Tree.
Yeah. What's it like working with them? Because they seem to be like, they're still, I guess, kind of a small press, but they seem to be a bit bigger, because I think what they're distributed through Simon & Schuster now. I think at least from last summer.
Are they?
So is it different working from them?
They are. Yeah. It's definitely got the potential to be bigger.
Yeah.
And I think, and I hope, and I think that it will. But unfortunately for me, I think I was mentioning this the other day too. It's like they made the deal with Simon & Schuster like right before my book, but right before Until Summer Comes Around came out, and then the pandemic was hitting, so it really was, the transition was really hard, just because of the way the world was going, and even this book had a little bit of a hiccup when it launched on the 17th, where we couldn't get the copies to Amazon or get it into their system quick enough. So there was a little bit of a delay there. So, and I think it's both the transition still, and the pandemic is still affecting everything. So it's like, I don't feel like I don't hold it against the publisher or anybody else in between. It's just what it is right now. And I'm hopeful. I mean, Simon & Schuster is a pretty big distribution group. So
that's a big one. Yeah.
Yeah.
I remember last year for their July 4th sale was like right around the time they switched distributors, and they were kind of delayed getting it to people, and that was kind of the reason why they were switching.
Right. It's like the warehouse, where getting it from one place to the next, they had to get all the stuff out of the first whatever distributor they had and get that over to Simon & Schuster. And it was definitely a delayed thing, but I mean, those deals, you can't beat those July 4th
Right.
deals that they do.
And I was just going to say that's crucial getting it to Amazon. I mean, as much as we can sit here and bash Amazon and stuff, when you're looking at independent and small press books, the first place you kind of look is Amazon. So if there's like a delay and you're going the day of, that could really, cause a little trouble with someone trying to get their stuff out.
It was such a bummer that morning, and I've talked to them, and they're very apologetic and have done a lot behind the scenes for me since then. But it was so frustrating to wake up and because a lot of people, like you were saying, that's just where they're comfortable. They've got it already set up. They don't have to put in any information.
The whole one click thing, don't tell my wife about that, but I do that a lot. So
that one click thing is dangerous.
It is.
It is dangerous. Yes, sir.
Yeah.
So you've been good.
Go ahead.
Go ahead.
I was going to say, who's doing the artwork for your covers?
Because until summer comes around and August dies, they both have the same style. Like the title and the font's the same.
Yeah. I like that about Flame Trees. They're trying to keep it author themed. Like you see, like Hunter Shea has his own kind of covers that they've been doing for him, and Jan's I'm sure is the same way. And I've noticed that with mine. They're using like the same fonts and stuff and similar color schemes. I don't know who does the cover. It's all in-house for them. So I just know it's like one of the things I'm always most nervous about when I get the email from Dawn saying, this is the cover. I love it. What do you think? And then I have to click and open it. And I'm like, please be good. Please be good.
They're doing it all themselves in-house. They're not contracting anybody else out.
Well, it might be somebody else. It might be someone. They have their own people that they work with or whatever.
Okay.
So I don't know. I don't know who the artist is that's putting the stuff together, but I love both of these covers. So
I mean, they're very similar. I like when there's unison with a certain author and everything kind of stays the same. So
yeah, me too.
Do you have any creative say in what the cover looks like at all, or are they just like, do you like this or don't you like it?
No, they always have a sheet that we fill out before. When we first signed the contract, like you kind of explain what you think, what kind of concepts might be good for the cover, what you might want on there, but what you definitely don't want on there. And so I love how it came out. I don't know what they took. I can't remember what I sent them, but I'm so glad they got this out of it because I love this cover.
Well, I just noticed it the other day that it was the same font and same style. I was like, oh, these look good together. They match up. They look good.
Yeah, I love that.
How many pieces do you have out? Do you keep track, or are there books out there you forgot that you've done?
I think August Eyes is my 6th novel.
Okay.
I've got 4 novellas that are out. I've got 2 short story collections that are out. So, and then I've got a bunch of stuff that's on the way or underway or whatever coming down the pike. So
you have a stack of works in progress that we could expect.
Yeah. I got a 4. Like he was saying about Flame Tree gets my next novels, and I talked to Ken from Silver Shamrock, and he's like, I know you can't give me a novel. So I was talking to him about my next short story collection, and we made a deal. He's going to put that and 3 novellas out over the next year or year and a half.
Okay.
So I signed a deal with Silver Shamrock to do that, so that you'll get those. The short story collection is called Nocturnal Pursuits, and it comes out in November through Silver Shamrock. And then right after that, I think January, will be a novella called Something in the Groove.
That's cool.
So
and what's Silver Shamrock? You pretty much know who's going to do the cover for that, right?
Keelan Patrick Burke. I think he's done all of them except one. I think one person, someone else did one, but I think Keelan's done all the other ones.
Yeah.
Cool.
He
does amazing work. Yeah. He does amazing work.
His covers are always great. So is the Window, I might be wrong, is that your debut novel?
No. That was the one right before Until Summer Comes Around, and I ended up self-publishing that one. I actually offered that one to to Flame Tree, and Don passed on that one. But after he gave me a lot of. I love his passes. For me, he's only passed on 2 of my offerings, and he always gives me great feedback and what worked and what didn't for him. And I went actually through after talking to him. Russell James also read the book for me and gave me his thoughts. I went back through after talking to them and another friend of mine and reworked a lot of the stuff in that book. I just didn't want to try it with Don again. I knew overall something didn't really work for him. So but I loved the story. I was really close to the story, and I believe in that one too. And it's done really well for the most part on its own. So
Yeah,
that could have been the first book, but it's it ended up being my own thing.
Is Michael Clark saying that Devil's Creek was the one that you were trying to think of?
Yeah, I think they bought the art, and then Todd Keesling kind of manipulated it some and changed it up.
I
think it was a painting.
I only say that because, ironically, there's a Devil's Creek reference.
There is
August Eyes that I caught while
it's
trying to get
old man Keesling out on Devil's Creek Lane.
Yeah,
that's right.
Yeah.
That's right. I thought that was so fun. I love doing that kind of stuff. So
I was going to bring that up. Like, do you do that a lot? Do you put things that you like that you've experienced in your writing? Do you put? There's a lot of stuff about music in there, so I'm assuming you're a rocker. I'm going to go ahead and say you are.
I mean, you got a lot.
We can get into that later too, but yeah,
Taylor Swift and like Marilyn Manson and Pearl Jam. You had a big range of it.
Yeah, I don't know about the Taylor Swift part, but go ahead.
Yeah, I mean it's such a huge part of who I am. Like you said, I am a rocker from I played in punk rock bands forever, and before that I was a hair metal kid, and then I got into obviously grunge and all that stuff. And that stuff is such a part of me that it can't help but come out. And I always loved reading, song titles and stuff in books. That I've read. I always get a kick out of it. Like especially if you, as a reader, are someone who knows those songs and knows those.
Right.
It doesn't work as well for people outside of that, but I think I don't worry about that so much. It's the book that I want to write, and it's in my voice, and that's part of my voice. Is just these things that
it's like an Easter egg the way I look at it. Like the Easter egg you always look for in movies. I look for that in books too. Just things I can relate to right away. Books that I've read mentioned in some books. Bands I listen to mentioned in some books, and it makes the writer a bit more human because you have things in common with this writer that you're reading about right now. So.
Absolutely.
You naming off bands and songs and stuff. It's almost like you're putting a soundtrack together or a playlist together for the book as well.
I do that. So I did that for Until Summer Comes Around. I think I did one for The Window, like on my Spotify page. If people find that, I did one for August Eyes too. And I don't usually make it beforehand, but I go through afterwards. And I look at all the stuff I mentioned and throw it together as best I can from that. That's fun for me too. I always loved making mixtapes and stuff when I was a kid. So
that's part of the editing part when you're going back, making changes and throwing in bands and other books and movies and stuff.
Well, no, in the editing part, it's already in there. I write it right in originally. It comes out in the first draft, but I'll go back through after I finished a book and throw a soundtrack together based off what I put in there.
Okay.
And the thing with name dropping fellow authors and stuff, I've kind of always done that. I mean, the Devil's Creek Lane thing was just, I don't know, so fun. It seemed perfect at that when I was writing. And
when I read it made me smile. It was funny.
And it's a pretty big book too. So, and I know a lot of people that are going to pick this up will have probably read that. If they haven't read it, they should. And if they haven't, I hope they'll, like you said, just put a quick smile on your face while you're reading it.
Those little Easter eggs, yeah.
Todd's an old friend of mine. We met through a website called Horror Novel Reviews that Matt Mulgard used to run. And when we first came into contact with each other, I believe Todd was bad-mouthing The Shining. And I said, and he looked so different back in this time. There was this picture of him when he was just a little bit younger.
I've seen him, babyface picture.
Yeah, babyface, so babyface. I said, who is this twerp bad-mouthing The Shining, right? And I'm not huge or anything myself, but I was still so mad. And I think we had a little conversation, not really that aggressive, but back and forth. Yeah. And then we started talking after that, messaging each other and shit and reading each other's works. We ended up being pretty good friends out of that. And now I've got some jokes about him because I always tease him about I always tease him that because he's such a big Nine Inch Nails fan. I like to tell him that he loves Poison as his favorite band. And so I'll throw those jokes at him as much as I can whenever I see him online or something.
He has a Nine Inch Nails fan. I remember he was live on YouTube, I think, when he was signing copies of Devil's Creek last summer. And I think in the background, I think he was playing Nine Inch Nails. I don't know why I sat there and watched him. I don't know why I sat there and watched a guy sign copies of a book. I was thinking, did you sign mine yet? You know, because I had ordered one to sign copies, so I didn't want to put in the chat, hey, did you sign mine yet? But
right.
He's like, who's this guy?
He's so cool. He's such a cool dude. He's such a great writer. And, you know, you always love it when a friendship starts like that with like some sort of little stupid kind of spat thing and then turns into something awesome. So I don't think we've ever met in person. We've chatted like video. We've done YouTube stuff together, and I FaceTimed him in the middle of the night when I was drunk and wanted to talk about. I woke him up. I don't know if I woke him up or whatever, but he still came in. It was me, him, and a couple of other guys, and we were talking about Jaws. He was hanging out, and I'm like, "What are you doing? Are you out by a campfire?" He says, "I'm in bed, idiot," or something.
Drunk. That should have been recorded somewhere. That would have been great.
Yeah, I didn't. It was funny because we were doing. It was I think it was the virtual Scares That Care. It was started the next day, and I was supposed to run a panel on Jaws, and I just wanted to like go over some things with people, and that was after I'd already started drinking that night. So we had a good time. It was about an hour of, you know, talking about that movie and shit, and it was cool. And then amazingly, I was hungover when I had to do the panel the next morning, but it went really well. It was like Jonathan Jans, Adam Caesar, and some others that showed up. I think Victor LaValle. It was cool. It actually went really well.
Cool.
Well, Michael Clark's got Jaws. Get ready to eat them. Looks like in that picture there.
Mike loves Jaws. He's got the little things. I think he gave him away at Scares That Care, the little sand things from the beach.
Yeah.
He's asking, did you go to the Judas Priest concert in 1986 that you mentioned? Until summer comes around?
I wasn't old enough to go to concerts then. So, see, the thing is, like,
I would have been 9. I would have loved to. I have a copy. It's a really bad copy floating around of that.
I was either 0 or just bored, depending on what time of year it was.
I just went off and see how easy it is for me to go off on a tangent with music. I have a bad copy of that floating around here somewhere. Just FYI. Go ahead.
I think I would have been 86. I think I was 8 or 9 myself too. But like my brother, I had an older brother that went to a lot of concerts in Portland or in Old Orchard Beach. I think he might have went to one with my cousin there. So I used a lot of what I was always envious. You know, I wanted to hang out with those guys so bad. But you know, they were like 4 years older than me, so they were going to all those cool concerts. Mm-hmm. And so I kind of used that little bit of watching them go through this stuff and hearing their stories and stuff. That's what kind of made it into Until Summer Comes Around too.
But how does Taylor Swift fit in this?
Taylor Swift is just like one of my favorite songwriters.
She's got catchy stuff, Jay. You can't deny it. It gets stuck in your head.
We all have those
catchy songs.
That shake song or whatever. My kids dance that all the time.
She's got an amazing range of different styles that she pulled off well, like from starting in country all the way up to like the real poppy 80s sounding pop stuff she did for a minute, and she did some like the folk stuff that she's kind of doing now. Like, it's just impressive to me as a songwriter, like to see somebody be able to do all these different styles and do them well and be very successful at it. And outside of that, she's also super cool and like stands up for artists' rights and all that stuff.
She does. I will give that to her. I mean, I can look past the musical part, and I do respect I do respect, you know, what she does for artists' rights and women's rights and all that stuff too. So just, you know, I just was looking through like your little bio and saw Springsteen, hair metal, and Taylor Swift. So I was just trying to make the connection there. So that's
it, man. You put all that stuff together with some punk rock too, and that's it.
Yeah, that's a car ride right there.
That's all my jams, man.
So do you play guitar yourself?
I pretend to play guitar. I play enough
pretend.
I play like punk rock guitar. You know, I can't do solos or anything like that. I can't do anything tricky because I play and I sing. So I can't. I see some of these guys that are pulling off all these crazy riffs while they're singing, like Metallica, like just to see Field go through all this stuff while he's singing. I'm like, I don't know how they do that, but I can strum. I can do power chords and stuff while I'm singing. So that's always been something I've done since I was like 17. I started a little late with that too, but
Hey, the Ramones had like what 3 or 4 notes. So I mean, there you go.
Yeah, you only need 3 chords to do it. So that's what I've always done that, and I've done some acoustic stuff too. But most of it's punk rock stuff, pop punk or whatever, Green Day-ish, Rancid-ish kind of stuff.
Because you have a couple of videos on your YouTube channel, don't you? Singing and playing and stuff.
Yeah. I always post stuff like that on like Instagram or my YouTube page. So, and I've actually just started playing with the drummer from my first band again. And we're gonna, I think his daughter, who's 19 now, is she plays bass like crazy. And I'm like, we've been looking for a bass player, and I'm like, she stands there and watches us during practice. She loves the songs. I'm like, dude, get Chloe to play bass. And he's like, you want me to ask her? And I'm like, yes, what are you doing? She's already there. She's got equipment. We're ready to go. So hopefully we've worked on like a bunch of new songs. So I'm hoping to actually get to do some kind of demo recording or something, hopefully in the next 6 months or so.
You guys have a name yet, or?
For the band, I mean, the original band was called the Skin Flutes. So I'm not sure if I want to use, I'm not sure we want to use that now. I mean, we could. Yeah. Maybe we'll
not with the 19-year-old daughter in there.
Right.
Maybe we'll just call it like SF or something. I don't know, but
well,
we haven't talked
what
about
year was that?
We weren't talking about what we were going to do with that yet. So
what year was it for the Skin Flutes? The original year?
We started in '97 and broke up in like 2000. So
so like 2021. I don't think you can get away with that name.
You can't get away with that now. No.
No, I don't think so.
So Bo's got a question from back. Oh, go ahead.
I was going to ask how many bands have you been in?
1, 2. There was the Skin Flutes, 2-Bit Theory, Nobody Else, the Bonnie Situation, the Never Nudes. Had one called Glenn Theory and the Portland All Stars.
Nice.
I think that's it, like 6 or 7 bands.
What's the range of that? Like high school up to kind of recently, or
the Never Nudes and stuff? The Never Nudes was my last band, and that was in 2013 or 14, I think.
Okay.
And I had already kind of like decided I wasn't doing music anymore, because I stopped music in like 2010, started writing horror stuff in 2011. So I was kind of I was into this world now. Right. And then a couple of buddies of mine that I'd never been in bands with before were like, we have this new project. We want you to be the singer. And I'm like, what? But I don't do that anymore. And they're like, come on, we need you. And I was like, okay, let's do it. So it doesn't take a lot to get me back into it, but that one ended mostly because of time constraints. We just didn't, all of us were, grown up, working full-time jobs. A couple of us had families. So it was just hard to get together as much as you'd like to have a good sounding band. But it was fun.
You've been doing the writing horror stuff for 10 years. So it wasn't something that you did when you were younger. Like you didn't want to be like a big next Stephen King or anything. You just started doing the last 10 years or so. Well, what was that moment when you realized, you know what, this is what I want to do? What made you have that moment too?
Well, I had, there was a couple of books that I had purchased. I've been reading Stephen King and stuff, but when I got King's On Writing, he had a couple of exercises in there to try out. And I think it was in my mind that I wanted to try writing some stories, I guess. I don't know why. That was back when I was still writing songs all the time. Mm-hmm. But I think I had an idea or something. Something was bugging me. And I bought that book and I read it, and it made me think that I could maybe do it, try it. And I remember writing a couple of short stories in some of my old notebooks. My own song lyric notebooks, just a couple of really short, ridiculous stories, and I set them aside. And I think maybe I totaled of like eight or nine stories. And I set them aside, and it wasn't until, like I said, I stopped playing music, and I was home, and I was just out of a job, and I felt like I needed to do something creative, that I pulled out one of those notebooks, because I don't throw any of those notebooks away. And I said, I'll just type this up into my computer, because I'd only had it in those notebooks scribbled. So I had to decipher my chicken scratch handwriting. And in that process, I started editing and trying to make them better as I was typing them up. And the one story that I typed up all the way was the beginning of Blood and Rain, which is my werewolf novel.
Cool.
And that started it. Once I started that, I was friends with some horror readers on Facebook, and I sent them chapter, first chapter, and they said, "Wow, that's cool. What happens next?" And I was like,
I don't know.
I don't know. And they said, "Well, send us send us the next chapter." So that's literally how I started writing for real. Is these friends of mine, there's like 4 of them that I would send the chapters to as I finished, and it was always, "What happens next? Hurry up with the next one." That got me started, and partway through that process, I said, "I think I can write this book. I think I can do this." And I kind of like looked up how many how many thousands of words makes a book, and I aimed for like 60,000 words or something. So that was my goal, and I got there, and I loved that whole process of creating these characters and doing all these things, and somehow it all worked. And I didn't outline that story or anything. That was totally pants that whole story. And I mean, the first draft is pretty rough. It's I still have it. It's pretty funny, but I loved so much of it. Like I thought, holy crap, I made these great characters, and this story really works. Like it's the ending. I loved the ending. The fact that I made what I thought was a great ending, really sold me on, I got to do this. This is what I've got to do. Right. And I've been doing it ever since then. So
wasn't that how Stephen King kind of did Gunslinger? Like wasn't he doing like a little piece of it and sending it to the magazine?
College. I think he started that in college as part of a writing project.
He did like a part of it.
Kind of set it aside.
But he was sending parts of it to like a magazine, I thought, and then
I think
the next part was he said to him, and then finally pieced it all together. Because if you read that, it's not a direct novel. You can tell it's pieces put together. So there you go.
Yeah, I don't know. I never heard the behind the stories on that one.
So with Blood and Rain, how did it go from writing a new chapter for your buddies to read to let's get this published now? We'll find a publisher for it.
Well, I'd always, at that time, leading up to that, I was really crazy for the Leisure books, horror club stuff, all the books that were coming out from Leisure. And that's my style. I think is a mix of like King and Leisure book stuff. If I had to like say, what do I think my style is like? I think if you took a bunch of that Leisure stuff and a big slice of Stephen King and mix it together, because it's not as clean and nice and proper for everyone around the world as King stuff can be. Not as accessible, I guess. There's more grit and more, blood, and a little more grit and blood than you could get away with in the mainstream, probably. Even though I think the Flame Tree books I'm writing, I've tried to like write a little broader without losing too much. You know what I mean? I think there's still there's a great mix in there. But yeah, that's how my stuff started, was with the Leisure books. Really inspired me to do this.
Yeah, and those were always like very accessible to everybody. You would be at a grocery store and they'd be in the checkout line, and stuff like that. So it's just right there, bam! You had to go ahead and get it. So,
and the paperback, mass market paperback, is just it's still my favorite thing. I wish we could do that still.
Yeah,
I love that. That's the perfect size, the mass market paperback size.
Yeah.
Are you writing something every day, or are you like a mood writer?
I write when I can, and like I said, with this summer, everything that's happened over the summer, it's been a lot more difficult to get into the headspace.
Right,
it's all about getting into that headspace. I mean, if you can get into it, you can work. I had a good July. I had a lot of stuff that I was getting done in July. Like I have a sequel novella to my novella Chasing Ghosts, that is at the halfway point right now. And I love where it's at, and it's fast and it's furious and it's vicious, and I can't wait to get that done. I'm also working on another project before I jump. As soon as I get these 2 done, then I'm jumping into my splatter western that is supposed to come out next year. So I've got that underway as well.
Everyone's doing a splatter western.
Yeah, I mean, as soon as I read Magpie Coffin, I was like, I have to do one of these. And I started writing the idea for this one right then. I mean, I started the first couple of chapters and have worked on it in between other projects.
Can you tease what the idea is for that one?
There's like this I've got an evil like witch that's going to be really cool, I think. I mean, she's and I'm always confused about witches and what they do, because I'm not like into Wiccan stuff, and I don't know all so it's kind of like my own take, I guess. She's kind of like the demon / succubus thing that I used in the haunted halls. I kind of just go with my idea of what I think it should be like. So I don't really stick to strictly to any rules of the tropes or whatever. So she's really she's really vicious and really evil, and I love it. And I don't know who's going to survive right now. So it's pretty exciting.
And the covers for those books are amazing. Justin T. Kuntz, he just every new book is like, oh, this one's my favorite cover. Oh, now this one's my favorite cover. He just tops
and that was
every
like the
time.
second thing. As soon as I got this book started, once I started writing this book, I was like, oh, I'd love to have one of those covers too. Because I think the second and third one came out pretty quick after the first one. And I was seeing those and I'm like, oh yes, now this must happen. And then I actually had a mutual friend of mine that got in touch with them when she found out that I was working on. When I told her that I had one that I was writing, and she contacted them and got us talking to each other, and it worked out, and signed a deal with them. So
that's awesome. Do you know what number yours is going to be, or you don't know?
No idea. They're kind of like, they've got a bunch of people that they had gone after for their second volume, which is starting soon, I think.
Yeah.
The second season of the splatter westerns, and so they're kind of, I think it's as they come in is how they're working on it.
Well, what number are they on? What, 13, 14?
13, I think.
Yeah. 13 was the 13th Coyote, I think, or maybe that was 10. They're up to like 14.
The newest one, I think, is the Chandler Morrison one.
Yeah, that was 14 or 15. I read that one. Actually, that one was pretty good. I liked it.
Yeah, I'm reading. That's one of the books I'm trying to read right now. So.
Yeah, I like how meta he was in that one with himself. It was pretty cool.
Yeah.
So Bo had a question way back up here. How was it working with Silver Shamrock?
Well, I've just started working with them. So so far it's been awesome. I mean, I approached Ken about my collection, and then he came back with we'll do the collection, and how about 3 novellas? And I was like, crap, how about yes? I can do that. Why not? And at the time I had one. I had Something in the Groove, which is the one I finished, that I had, that was almost finished when I started talking to him. So I've got one that's almost done, and I've got ideas for a few more. So we can just figure out which ones as we go. And pretty quick, I knew that I was doing the sequel to Chasing Ghosts. And that one's been awesome so far. So far they've been really good. And I know Kenneth W. Kane, who does their editing, he's done some editing for me as well on some projects. And Ken McKinley I've been friends with him since maybe Blood and Rain. I think he read and reviewed, and he's been a fan of mine for a while. So it wasn't too surprising when he came back with a counter offer for me. And
that's a good counter offer, though, isn't it?
Yeah, it's great, and it's good to just it's nice as a writer to have someone that gets your work. I've got Don and Ken, who are 2 guys that know what I do. They know what I can bring, and to have their support and their belief right up front is incredible. I'm grateful for it too.
I feel like they haven't done a short story collection yet. I know they have the big anthologies, the Midnight, the
they have
Graveyard,
the
and
collections.
Do they have collections?
What
those
they
are
have?
Anthologies.
Yeah, anthologies. But
I don't know if they have a collection yet.
I think they put out Ronald Kelly's.
That's right, they did.
Latest
essential
he won the Splatterpunk Award for that too. I think he won the Splatterpunk. Yeah, for that.
Yeah. Exactly. We got to talk to him. He's a super nice guy.
Yeah, he's super awesome. I've never met him in real life, but I mean, talking to him on Facebook and stuff and messaging each other, he's super supportive and super cool.
That was a good show. Yeah. So what is your favorite kind of horror to write?
I don't really have a favorite, I don't think. I mean, I like so many different things, and I like to switch it up. I never planned on doing sequels. It was never my intention to ever set anything up to be a sequel or to have a sequel. So I always want to bring something different each time out. You know what I mean? I don't want to just be rewriting the same kind of story over and over again. So,
do you find one easier than the other, or?
Well, sometimes with August Eyes, I push myself into some corners that maybe I don't feel so comfortable in.
Okay.
Same with my first novella for Sam Hain was called Abram's Bridge, and it was like a ghost story, but it was also mystery.
Okay.
And at the I started it as a short story to be a ghost story, and then all of a sudden this mystery just started developing. Who's behind this? Why did this happen? What's going on in this small town? And it felt more like a mystery book to me. And And I was scared when I was starting, because I was still pretty early in my writing. I'd only been writing for a couple of years, and it was all horror. And to add this mystery element, like, and actually try to pull it off, it was fucking super scary. But it feels like what the story wants, so I'm going to try it anyways, because no one's looking at it right now. It's just me. Yeah. And I did it, and I really loved how it came out. And the same with August Eyes. I had this. I'd never done like a dream world crossing into reality, and how do you make that work? You know, and pull it off successfully. And it scared me. And it scared me so much when I started writing it, I stopped. I'm like, I can't write that yet. I can't do it. So I set it aside until I knew I wanted to get another book to Dawn. And then I kind of started outlining and figuring out how and why and all that stuff. And once I had the outline, I said, I've got this. I can do this. And, you know, signed the contract, and I wrote the book. And it was scary still, but I think I pulled it off again. So
yeah, I'm
push yourself.
75% or so in, and I'm really enjoying it. Not that it's the same as this at all, but it's given me shades of Christmas Land from Nosferatu by Joe Hill, kind of the same alternate reality vibe kind of thing.
Just the beginning, the beginning part, I got that kind of feel, and I was a little
completely different, but
exactly,
it's kind of the same vibe. Yeah,
right,
yeah. And I was kind of glad, because the beginning part, like, I was worried it was going to go one direction. I was like, no, please don't. I like the way you pulled it back, so a lot of it is just open for our interpretation of what really happened.
Right.
Got lucky there.
Yeah, it was funny with the beginning of the book too, because when I sat down and wrote, when I first got the idea, I just moved to this new town, which isn't really that new. Wasn't new to me. It was just new to live in. It was beside where I grew up, actually, and it was a small town called West Gardner. And there was just so many graveyards or cemeteries everywhere. I was like, this place is like graveyard land. It's what I said to myself, or I said out loud to my wife or something. And it stuck in my head. And I said, I gotta write that down and come up with something for this. Like, I thought, always thinking a short story at first, and then you start writing it and you realize, oh, this is something bigger. So I wrote like the first 3 chapters, not the prologue, but the first 3 chapters. And then I said, I don't know how to make this work. I don't know what this is, but I like what I have. I'm going to put it over here until I think I can write something for this. And it wasn't until I was getting ready to send the sample chapters to Dawn, where I went and reworked those first 3 chapters, that I said, oh, I want to write that. I want to write that prologue. I want to write what happened, you know, at the beginning of this, because I just felt like that's how I wanted it to start. And so I wrote the prologue the day I sent Dawn the sample chapters. So I sent him the prologue in the first 3 chapters, and that's when we rolled from there. So
that sounds like it was a situation where you were able to well, like the book was writing itself almost. It was going in one direction, and you were able to adjust and get the better of it. I mean, do you think, or do you know if that's like a trap for new writers? You know, when the book starts writing itself and they get kind of stuck in those little corners and stuff, and they just can't get out of it. I know people who may have just given up because of that. Do you ever hear about that or see that happen? Has it ever happened to you? Come close to happening to you?
Well, I'm always working on so many projects. Like, if I get stuck in one, I'll take a break from it and pick up another one, whatever's like pulling at me. You know, you kind of go with what's working at the moment. I've written books that I got stuck in. Eventually I'll write through it, though. I think there's only one story so far that I haven't finished that's sitting. I actually sent it to a friend of mine who's taken a stab at collaborating and coming up with some ideas for it. Because I was just so jammed into the spot. I was in had such momentum. It was like the novella I started writing after Chasing Ghosts. It like was flying, and then I get to the point and I just lost it. Like, I don't know where to go or what to do. That's the only time it's really happened to me, is with that particular story. And hopefully it's going to get worked out and will find its way out eventually. But
do you feel like with that one you wrote yourself into a corner, or you just don't know what's going to happen next?
Yeah, I don't know. Maybe that's what it is. It's like, it started off as an idea of one thing. The story takes it in its own direction, and I got like confused myself. I'm like, wait a minute, but I wanted it to be this, but now it's this. How do I get this to work? And I just I think because I also have so many other projects going, I
Right.
was able to just like drop it. Like, this is frustrating me right now, and I don't want to look at it. And
Do you ever
like,
start
this is
blending the ideas together? Like all your works you have going on, do you start combining the ideas and
there's
starting to get confused?
One time I was writing my book Becoming, has like the original version's got like this real slug type thing in the story as one of the creatures, and I was writing, maybe it was the window or something, and I was writing this scene, and all of a sudden I brought that creature into the scene, and I'm like, and it was late at night, I was probably drinking, I don't know, and I was like, wait a minute, whoa, wrong book. That's the only time it's ever happened to me.
You could have left it in there and see if people caught it.
Yeah.
Special edition.
Bo's got another question. If you could write for an existing property, what would you choose? Like an existing world kind of thing.
Like any book or movie?
Whatever you want. Any kind of existing property.
The Marvel Universe. No, go.
Yeah.
No,
Terminator.
I wouldn't want to touch that. I feel like I'd ruin something like that.
That's too big for me.
You know, I've always wanted to write, you know, especially now after doing this book, take a stab at like Elm Street, you know what I mean? Do like that would be fun. I don't know if I could do it, but for some reason, I remember a couple of years ago, especially, it was like, I think it was when I saw the remake, you know what I mean? And I don't hate the remake like a lot of people do. I like a lot of it. It's not perfect, and it's not as good as the originals, but I like that they tried to do something different. I liked the guy that played Freddy. I thought he was creepy.
Yeah, it wasn't horrible.
I
think he played Rorschach in the Watchmen movies.
Same guy.
Yeah, man, and I think it was after I saw that, I was like, I want to write like the next one. You know what I mean? And it was just a crazy idea that popped in my head, and I really gave it some serious consideration, like trying to write like a screenplay or something, or a short treatment or novel or something of that. And I still might. I mean, like, I haven't thought about it actually until, you know, you guys brought it up. I think I thought about it a little bit when I was working on August Eyes, but right now it's just like, now I'm like, oh yeah, I really did want to do that, you know? I think
August Eyes,
yeah,
it does have that dreamscape kind of feel to it.
Yeah, and I mean, I leaned on Wes Craven a lot actually to pull this off, to do my how I wanted to do this in August Eyes. I was watching the Elm Street movies, and Shocker actually has a lot of influence on how I worked my dream world in this one. Because if you remember, Horace Pinker was a serial killer in that movie, and had his way of getting back. So
you could write it from Freddy's point of view.
Yeah, pretty cool.
From the bad guy's point of view. I did want to ask, without giving too much away, you do have some kind of dream stuff in the book where Sarah, she's got this book about dreams. Did you make all that kind of stuff up, or did you do research about dreams and the subconscious and that kind of stuff? Or
I did a little bit of research on that stuff, but I mean, I used my own app. I take all that stuff in, and then I make up my own like book titles and stuff. And yeah, I did do a little research on that kind of stuff because I wanted it to sound legit. You know what I mean? But I always like to like soak it in and then see how it pours out of my filter or whatever. So that stuff was all my goopy dreamscape stuff. So
how long did August Eyes take from beginning to end, from concept of the plot to publishing?
Well, like I said, I mean, if you don't count when I wrote those first 3 chapters in 2014.
Okay,
that was a long time ago.
Yeah,
that was a long time ago. It sat for a long time. Like, I remember telling Don the first time I met him in person after he'd signed Abram's Bridge, my novella. I said, I've got a couple of books ideas, and that was one of the ideas I was talking to him about back in 2015, I think. And it just I wasn't ready to write it. And I'm glad I didn't even attempt it then, because I started writing it in 2020. Actually, I wrote the outline in December of 2019. Then I started writing the rest of the book in March or April of 2020, and finished it in November.
So was it hard? You started the first 3 chapters in 2014 to get back into it?
No, it wasn't, because it wasn't long, because that's not, my chapters aren't real long anyway, so it was pretty cool. Just reread that. And especially after I wrote the outline, I knew where I wanted to go with it. So Outlining has been amazing. I never thought I'd be able to do it. I never wanted to do it, but it's the only way I could think of to work with Flame Tree quicker would be if I could do that. Because I know a couple of author friends of mine, like John Everson and Tim Wagner, that do that with him. And I said, well, I've worked with Don enough. He might go for that. And I asked him, and he said, yeah, send me an outline and some sample chapters, and I'll definitely take a look at it. And and Tim Wagner actually helped me out a lot with Until Summer Comes Around. He sent me a sample of his outline from one of his books just to give me, I wanted to see what it would look like. You know what I mean?
Kind of the structure of it.
Yeah. Yeah. And then I also had a book that I was reading on outlining, and between those two things, it set me right up, and I was able to successfully do it. And I never thought I'd be able to. And it's probably my favorite way to do it now.
Yeah.
It just makes it a lot easier. And I always thought it would trap my creativity and spontaneity or whatever, but it doesn't, because you have the points you've got to get to, you know what I mean?
Right.
And you can make anything can happen still in between.
So you kind of have the landmarks, hit this landmark, this mark, and then whatever happens in between.
And it doesn't have to stay that way. It can still, you can still adjust it on the swing. So
who do you share your stuff with first to get a little feedback?
Don. Normally I go straight to Don, or nobody, you know what I mean? I used to, with short stories, and when I started writing, I would definitely reach out to friends of mine, because I wasn't confident in myself, and would reach out to buddies like Todd Kiesling was a friend of mine, Kristen Dearborn, a local Maine author who lives in Vermont now, but she's been published as well. And I would reach out to them a lot and have them read stuff. I think with The Window, I was nervous because I was trying to mash a couple of things together that I wasn't sure was going to really work. So I reached out to Russell James and a couple of other friends for that one. But most of the time, it's just I'll write it, I'll do a quick edit, and then I'll send it to whoever I think will publish it.
Mike Clark, he's one of the, do you have beta readers at all?
Yeah, I don't really use beta readers for my stuff. If I get real nervous, like I said, on small, like very rare for me to like not be confident in what I've finished, or what I'm trying to sell. Usually if I get to the end, I'm pretty confident that it worked, and it works well.
Mike's impressed. Wow. Because I know a lot of authors we talk to, they do beta readers.
Yeah.
I know Janine Pipe, she would gobble up anything you send her away, I bet.
I have sent, Janine has got a special access pass for my in-progress works.
She's got the #1 fan pass, right?
Yeah, because she's just awesome.
So we need to pay her to get some inside information.
She's like one of the things that people have been looking for years, because I've been talking about doing the sequel to Blood and Rain. That's called Waiting for Darkness. It's halfway written, so Janine has read the first half of that book. Okay. So
she's great too.
Yeah. But, I've been wanting to write the rest of that book forever, but I keep getting all these other projects that are lined up that I have in front of it. Like, it's not contracted, so it gets pushed back.
Yeah.
Brad, let's get a game in before we get a reading. Or you want to do reading? Yeah, let's get the game in.
Yeah. What do you want to do first, Glenn? You want to play a game, or do you want to do your reading first?
How you guys want to do it?
Let's break it up. Let's do the game now and get you loose for your reading. How's that?
All right.
That's good.
So we're gonna do a lightning round. Jay, you get 60 seconds up on the clock.
Yeah, I'm not prepared. Hold on.
60 seconds.
60 seconds. It goes by quicker than you think.
Wait, let me find my clock here. Shoot,
So I'll just rattle off questions and you answer, as quick as you can. See how many we can get.
Will I get free beer out of this or something?
I'll have Mike Clark hook you up with some free beer.
I was gonna say we have the king of swag in the chat right now, so.
Or I can call Joshua Marcella up, since I think he lives like down the street, and he can bring you some beer.
Yeah, he doesn't live very far from me. Yeah.
All right, I'm ready. When you are ready.
Are you ready? So let's hold on. We gotta do the video first.
Oh, that's right.
Production budget. So we're gonna play a lightning round.
That is fire.
That's the budget for the show. Those little 5-second clips.
All right, ready? 60 seconds, right?
All right, ready?
And go.
What weapon would you choose to be in the zombie apocalypse?
Shotgun.
What's your favorite holiday?
Halloween.
Favorite TV show?
Seinfeld or The Office?
Oh, Seinfeld. Nice. Worst food you've ever eaten?
Oysters.
Dream vacation spot?
Hawaii.
30 seconds.
Favorite horror movie?
Texas Chainsaw Massacre.
Favorite band?
Band? I'll go with Guns N' Roses.
Nice. What's the most treasured book that you own?
I have a cool copy of Patrick Lacey's A Voice So Soft. It's one of the
10
Thunderstorms.
seconds.
Nice. If you could have one superpower, what would it be?
Flying.
3,
Celebrity
2,
crush?
1.
So many. Emma Stone.
Emma Stone. Emma Stone's pretty hot. Good job. So that was the lightning round, the hot seat.
That was.
I think I won.
I think you won. I think Mike Clark and Joshua Marcelli need to hook you up with some beer now.
Were you sweating? For some reason, people think they sweat during that. So
Mike says he'll sit in a koozie.
I wasn't sweating too bad. I'm trying to set my phone up here so I can do the reading for you guys. Let's see if this works. Hold on.
Get it
Yeah, I
propped up.
did some live readings to promote the book when it first, the first few weeks it was out. I like to do that with the last book and this book, just doing some to get people's interest and hope that make a few more sales.
Yeah.
So I don't know what I'm going to read out of it.
just don't read the final ending.
That last chapter. Just read that last
Oh
chapter.
yeah. I'll read the epilogue.
I got a ways to go still, but still.
I could either read like the first chapter is pretty short and good, or like the prologue. What do you guys think?
The prologue's hooks you pretty good, I think.
It does.
All right, we'll go with the prologue. Then.
Okay.
Prologue's a little bit longer, but I've read that a couple of times already, so I'm going to do it again.
Yeah, if you got the time, we're good with it. So.
All right, cool. Yeah, I got the time. All right, hold on a second. Wait.
Gotta watch your whistle real quick.
Yeah, gonna get that tea in there, tea and honey. All right, so you guys ready? We're good to go.
Go for it.
All right, August Eyes. This is what it looks like, people. Flame Tree Press. It's out now. This is the prologue. Spears Corner never knew it had an uninvited guest in its midst that August afternoon. One that would make the skin crawl on every parent in town if they understood what kind of monster was roaming their streets. In a green Dodge van, it searched for the next boy to quench a thirst and an urge that never faded, never eased, never disappeared. The downtown area, a 2-block stretch along Water Street, was full of adults and children alike, enjoying a beautiful, sunny day. Squeals of laughter bellowed from little ones chasing each other up the brick sidewalks. The group of teens standing in Nirvana and Liz Phair t-shirts on the corner flung curses at the monster as he passed by. Look, it's Chester the molester in his fuck van. Fuck off, creep. Suck it, asshole. The van rolled along. Just down the street, an old Creedence Clearwater Revival song was being murdered by a howling kid with a beat-up acoustic guitar on the steps of the Spears Corner Public Library. That was me, by the way, in real life. This one caused the monster to break. Salivating, its sweaty hands clenching the steering wheel, a desperate heartbeat throbbing in its neck. It always liked the loners. They made the best company. Police sirens blared to life behind the van. Startled, the monster let off the brake and pulled ahead. The 2 police cruisers, their lights flashing, sped by. The moment had passed. The van moved along, driving out of the crowded downtown area and up the hill toward the quieter parts of town. Crap, Johnny, the new kid Ethan said. That was close. Johnny Colby was still shaking. He'd barely avoided getting run down by the asshole in the red Ford Escort. He hated riding bikes through the Shop and Save parking lot. He'd nearly been clipped a dozen times. Nobody ever seemed to watch where the hell they were going. This guy had come from out of nowhere and actually made contact. Johnny had been quick enough to raise his foot up and put his sneaker on the guy's hood before being bumped from his bike and landing hard on the blacktop. I just need a minute, Johnny said. The jerk in the car shouted, "Stay out of the goddamn way," before hurrying off. Asshole. Ethan, a tall, scrawny kid, leaned his BMX against the bench and joined Johnny. That cut looks pretty bad, man. You want me to run in and see if they have some Band-Aids? I've got a couple bucks left. Don't worry about it, Johnny said. He pulled the red bandana off his head and wrapped it tightly around his bloodied knee. He felt fortunate to come away with this wound and the scrape on his shoulder and not to have his skull cracked all over the pavement. It'll stop bleeding. Let's just get the hell out of here. It wasn't until a couple hours later, when they were up the hill near the Spears Corner Common, that Johnny noticed the ugly green van that he'd seen twice already parked up ahead. He'd also caught it cruising by the front of the sports car shop earlier, and before that, while they were skipping rocks down into Jefferson Stream near the trestles. He hadn't liked the look of the van, or the way the vehicle seemed to have moved twice as slow as the rest of traffic. He'd grown up watching 20/20 with his mom every Friday night. The weekly program had filled him with its share of nightmares, everything from catching AIDS from a dirty needle used on him at a doctor's office like Ryan White, to being savagely attacked by an unleashed pit bull, or forced into a satanic cult by older kids who listened to old bands like Slayer, or that new group, Marilyn Manson and the Spooky Kids. But it also gave him a heightened sense of stranger danger, and this ugly van had his warning alarms going haywire. "Let's cross the road," he said. Ethan didn't ask why, he just followed. When they crossed again further up the street, Johnny looked back and saw the van was gone. Good. Bikes in the grass, armed with Pepsis they picked up from 7-Eleven on the other side of the road, Johnny and Ethan sat in the gazebo at the heart of the Spears Corner Commons. "You think I could spend the night at your place tonight?" Ethan said. I don't know. I'd have to talk to my mom." Johnny didn't know Ethan Ripley that well. The kid had just come to Spears Corner Junior High at the end of 6th grade a couple months ago. He liked the kid well enough, but enough to hang out with him all night, he wasn't sure. "That's okay," Ethan said, dropping his chin and staring at the plastic bottle cupped in his hands. "It's just that my mom kind of sucks." "Yeah, they all do sometimes," Johnny said, unsure whether this kid was going to start crying or spill some sad, sappy story on him. I think she's worse than most." "Oh, crap," Johnny thought. He's gonna spill. "My mom, she drinks a lot, like she's drunk all the time, you know?" Sorry, man," Johnny said. He sipped from his soda, hoping his sorry was enough. "And my dad," Ethan began. Tears leaked from both of his deep brown eyes. "He lives up near camp, and when I'm at his place, he hits me pretty good. Sometimes I don't know if I can take it anymore, or if I should run away, you know? Or just..." Johnny had never seen a kid his own age fall apart before his eyes, except maybe in a movie. He was sure Ethan was about to come completely undone, that his skin was going to unzip and flood the gazebo with every bit of hurt and pain he had inside. "Oh, shit, man," Ethan said, standing up and wiping at his eyes. "I'm sorry, I don't know why I told you all that." "Don't worry about it," Johnny said. "Life sucks sometimes, right?" Ethan, red-eyed, the front of his Counting Crows t-shirt wet from his tears, nodded and gave a weak, weepy laugh. Johnny wanted to change the subject. He pointed to Ethan's shirt. "You like them?" "Counting Crows? Yeah, they're my favorite band." His gaze dipped, his hands nervously scratching at his neck. "I hope you don't think that's too lame." "Yeah, they're okay," Johnny said. "Mr. Jones, right?" "Yeah, but the whole tape is really special. I mean, it is to me. It's like every song on there speaks to me in some way. Have you ever had a tape like that?" He thought about it. Johnny really liked a lot of different bands and their albums, but he couldn't really pick just one. "I don't know," he said. "Sure, like maybe Nevermind or 10. "Yeah, those are really good ones," Ethan said. After a few seconds of silence, he added, "I can make you a copy if you want to check it out." "Is that the name of the tape?" Johnny said, pointing to the words scrawled across Ethan's shirt. "Yeah, August and Everything After." "Cool," Johnny said, rising from the bench, lining the inside of the gazebo. "Come on, you ever been out to the pits?" "What is it?" Johnny led him down the steps to where their bikes lay. "It's a bunch of huge sand piles the city uses for all sorts of stuff. Tons of people go out there with four-wheelers and dirt bikes, or just to go shoot shit for like target practice." "And are we supposed to go there?" Ethan asked. "I don't know, really. My buddy Paul and his dad always go out there and ride. I've been with them a bunch of times, and I've never seen any cops. Come on." By the time they reached the pits off Brunswick Avenue, they both wished they brought some more soda. "The sun sucks today," Ethan said as they rode through the open gate. "There's another store, New Mills Market. It's just down the way. Let's just get a few jumps in, and then we can use the last couple of bucks that you have to get something." "Okay," Ethan said. The kid was finally smiling. Good, Johnny thought. He didn't think he could stand another waterworks display from this guy. "Wait, Johnny said, looking at Ethan's funny hand. Are you going to be able to land okay? I mean, with your hand and everything? Yeah, it's not as useless as it looks, Ethan said. He clutched his bike grip to prove it. Cool. Johnny was curious as to what happened to his hand, but he never felt right to ask. Ethan would tell him if he felt like it. Johnny took the first 2 jumps off a smaller dirt pile before Ethan gave it a try. The kid made his first jump like a pro, getting some serious air and sticking the landing better than Johnny ever had. Wow, Johnny said, cruising over next to him. That was freaking awesome. You must have done this before. I used to ride dirt bikes with my Uncle Pete before we moved. Well, shit, man, you're going to have to show me how to do that. Ethan's gaze drifted over Johnny's shoulder. Johnny turned to see what the boy was looking at. What is it? Johnny asked, and then he saw the green van. The same creepy Dodge junk box he'd seen earlier sat parked near one of the taller sand piles a little further into the pits. Oh my God, Ethan said. Let's go see if he's all right. Johnny didn't know what the kid was talking about until he noticed the man down on his hands and knees toward the back tire of the van. His stranger danger alarms blared again. Ethan, wait! But Ethan was pedaling towards the van in a hurry. Johnny stepped on his pedal but couldn't force himself to follow. His insides felt cold. Goose flesh broke over his arms. They shouldn't go near that man or his damn van. He sat frozen as he watched Ethan dump his BMX to the dirt and walk over to the man on the ground. He appeared to be helping the man to his feet when the man snatched him by the hair and slammed Ethan's head into the side of the van. The man clubbed Ethan until the boy collapsed to the ground. That's when the creep stood and pointed at Johnny. God. Oh no. Oh God. Johnny wet his pants. The man grabbed Ethan up from the dirt and carried him behind the van, opened the back door and piled him inside. Slamming the door shut, the stranger turned towards Johnny, who couldn't move. Johnny's entire body trembled. He was crying as the man started for him. The awful man had closed the distance by the time Johnny finally busted loose from his paralysis and turned his bike around. He couldn't go for Brunswick Avenue. The man could go back to his van, catch him, and run him down. There was a path they used to use that went all the way to Talbot Hill, which could bring him over to Bruton Street. From there, he could hurry down Church Street and over to the police station. Johnny pedaled as fast as he could. He felt like the strange man was Carl Lewis, like he was going to break another Olympic record and run him down. Johnny was going to get stuffed in the back of that van. As he left the sand and dirt behind, his bike tires eating up the grass of the path, he dared a quick glance over his shoulder. The stranger was no longer behind him. He didn't look back again. He pedaled to Talbot Hill. When he got there, he saw his English teacher, Mr. Jans. He asked if he could use his phone, but Johnny never made it to the police. Instead, he called his mom to come pick him up. He never told anyone what happened to Ethan Ripley. He was too afraid he would get in trouble for not helping, for not stopping that man. After the police pulled Ethan's body from Litchfield Pond, Johnny cried himself to sleep.
You know how to write the sadness, don't you?
That's right, thanks.
Yeah,
I try to make it, I love the emotional stuff. Like everyone tells you about horror, like it only works if you really care about the characters. You know what I mean? I mean, not always. If you're only in for like slashing and gashing, there's that kind of style too. But I mean, this is my favorite kind of horror to write.
Like when Ethan was trying to spill his heart out there. Like I don't know if we all had that friend when we were younger that was in that kind of situation, and like, and we were young, naive. We're like, we don't want to hear that. We don't know. We had our own issues, right? So yeah.
So I have to ask you, at the beginning of the book, in the dedication, you dedicate it to the Murderinos and the Grave Dancers Union. What are those?
Murderinos are what the people that follow the podcast. It's called My Favorite Murder.
Okay. And
that's what they call their followers are known as Murderinos. And I love that podcast. It's a true crime podcast. It's hilarious. The hosts are amazing. I love listening to them. And they'll go over all this stuff. And I've heard tons of stories, that I've never heard of before. Tons of not serial killers, or some serial killers, but a lot of horrific stuff. And, they talk about how sometimes the best way to deal with that stuff is, you have to laugh to like keep it light. You know what I mean? Not making fun of it, anything like that. So I really got into them a while ago, last year, the year before that. I think it was the beginning of last year. And they helped me get through the pandemic, actually, listening to them. Because they're just like hilarious. They feel like friends of ours. So because of the true crime aspect and serial killer stuff that I got in here, I mean, they definitely played a part for me in that leading into this story. The Grave Dancers Union is it's actually a shout out to Soul Asylum, because there's a lot of 90s references in here, but I think of all those bands, even though I used August and everything after the Counting Crows album as really a big part of this book, to me, back when I was that age in the 90s, Soul Asylum's Grave Dancers Union is just one of my favorite records.
That's their best.
And it's something I still listen to all the time.
I still break it out every now and then. I mean, Runaway Train, who doesn't like that?
Yeah, if you go to my YouTube page, I did a cover of Runaway Train on there that came up.
Somebody to shove. Somebody to shove.
Somebody to shove. Yeah, that's awesome. It still sounds just as good today as it did then.
We're going down memory lane now, which is cool because I do this to my wife, and she's like, "I don't know who you're talking about." Half the time, so yeah.
There's people in the chat. Chloe says this book sounds amazing. Priscilla, oh my gosh, that was awesome. And Justin Lewis, he said there's a portion in the book that made him tear up, and that's the first time a horror novel had ever done that to him.
That's awesome. That, I mean, as a writer, that's amazing to hear. I've heard that. I've seen that in a bunch of the reviews for this, that I've made a bunch of people cry. So I feel like, it just lets you know as a writer that you did something, you hit something right. You know what I mean? You always strive to do that, even if the whole book doesn't hit on a whole, which, they rarely ever do like a whole book for everybody. But like when you can do that, when you can move somebody in that way, especially in a horror novel, I think it adds so much, and it's like the biggest compliment that I've got so far off of this book, knowing that I feel like
that shows the true talent of a writer. If you can get some kind of physical, emotional reaction from somebody, whether you make them laugh, really, if you make them cry or something like that, I think is sort of the top that you can hit just with your writing skills.
Yeah, for me, for sure, with this, especially with this book, because it's such a serious and dark situation going on, to get people that invested in the characters it's awesome.
Do the ideas for your books just come to you at strange times? Do you carry around like a tablet of paper or a recorder so you don't forget later when you can write it down? There's always ideas everywhere. So like I said, like I moved into that town and was just noticing it on a drive around to the store or something, like, well, this graveyard's like everywhere here, the cemetery everywhere. What the hell's going on in this town? And that's how that was born. And then, I have a notebook. I've always got a notebook close by. And then my phone, obviously, there's the notes section on there. If I get one says something and I'm like, just type it in there real quick and maybe go back to it. Maybe not. But
so Marcellus told us he grew up next to the graveyard that inspired Scratches. I guess that's close to where you live now.
Yeah. And I probably know which graveyard he was at. I mean, the graveyards, the cemeteries that I used in here, which is really, they're cemeteries. I guess graveyards are the ones that are by churches. Someone pointed that out to me.
Is there a difference?
I guess there is. I think it's graveyards are on church land, church property, whatever.
I just thought it was different names.
I didn't know that.
I didn't know that either until I looked it up. I mean, it doesn't bother me with how the book comes, because I think most people think they're interchangeable anyway. So, and the cemeteries in here I used loosely based off the real ones that are in that town. So,
I mean, is the history that you wrote in the book about why there's so many cemeteries, did you make all that up, or is there a little bit of truth to it?
I made that all up. So,
for everyone listening, do not do any fact checking.
Yeah, you don't have to fact check. It's and
it's fiction. Just go with it. It's fiction.
Well, I like all the history and kind of stuff. So
I know.
Curious if any of that history was real, or if
I just don't want somebody coming back and say, "Hey, this is all fake." Well,
it's not real. Yeah,
it's like a fiction book. It's fiction.
Did you get lost when you went to the nonfiction part of the library, or what?
Yeah, right.
So you've done your werewolf novel, Blood and Rain, Until Summer Comes Around, as a vampire novel. Do you like those sort of classic monsters?
I love the classic monsters. I love all the classics and all the tropes that have been done 1,000 times, and I'm not scared of going into them and doing. I think as a reader and a writer, like you think, what could I do with this? You know what I mean?
Right.
And
Put your own spin on it.
That's how you have to take it. And I don't care about the rules. Like I know the rules, but I'm not sticking to them if it doesn't help me move my story where I want my story to go. Like with my vampires, and until summer comes around, I kind of did my own thing with them. My werewolf is probably closest to normal, I think, but I don't worry about that when I'm writing, because I feel like as a writer, I've got the freedom to do what I want with my monsters and my heroes, you know.
Is there any type of classic monster you haven't done yet that you'd really like to?
Believe it or not, I've always been against zombies. Always been against zombies. I think they're so boring.
So oversaturated. Once Walking Dead came
Very
out,
oversaturated.
was zombies.
But I got an idea earlier this year, and I started writing it because, like I said, when I get an idea, I usually will try to write a chapter or two. And I really love what I wrote. So I think at some point in the next 5 years, this zombie novel novel or novella, whatever it's going to be, will find its way out. So at some point, zombies, which I never thought I'd do, but once I got the idea, I was like, oh, I have to do this now.
Yeah, they are pretty boring and generic, but some people, they put really great twist on them that give this new light to them.
Right, like Keen's The Rising obviously has its own thing, and I would never dare to even go near his stuff. But for me, with what I've got started, it's so much right now. It's so much about the characters in the story, the people, and you know, there's like, I already feel like I know these people, and I have to get them through something. So it'll be interesting if hopefully I'll finish it. I'm sure I will, because it's something that really grabbed at me earlier this year. That's just sitting there in that on deck circle, you know.
Yeah, my favorite zombie novel is 1,000 Miles to Nowhere by David Kerfus, and it's because of the people, the characters. I like it so much, as opposed to the zombies are just sort of the backdrop about what's going on, but the focus is about the people. I think that's why I like it so much.
I think that's probably the best way to do it right now, unless you can come up with something really, really different for your zombies. I mean, you've got to focus on those people.
Like just hanging out at the corner store, you know, smoking cigarettes, playing cards or whatever. Like the cool zombies. I want to hang with the cool zombies, the in crowd zombies.
You know, and like, it's funny for me with zombies. Like, if you go to like movies, my favorite are like the Scout's Guide, right? I don't remember the name of it. Scout's Guide to Surviving
Apocalypse,
Zombies.
Apocalypse. Yeah.
That one, and I really love Warm Bodies too, like the romantic horror.
Yeah, I forgot about that one.
Like those are kind of like that's kind of like where my feelings go. Like I don't know if I will write anything like that. Mine will probably be more vicious, but I really, when I go to watch zombie stuff, if it's different like that, it's funny, it's got a little bit of comedy. I like it. A little
tongue-in-cheek approach to the whole
Zombieland was really funny, I think.
Oh yeah, Zombieland. Yeah,
Zombieland was hilarious.
Yeah, both of those are really good too. I love those movies too.
What was that newest one?
Train to Busan. Is that what you're
talking about? That one. I guess I haven't seen that one yet, but I guess that's pretty good. But the
I've
one,
heard everybody,
the one on Netflix, it was just this past summer. I can't think of it. It got some heat
because the Army of the Dead.
Yeah, that's what. Yeah, something like that. It's like we watched it.
Has the guy that did
the wrestler, Batista, the wrestler guy. Yeah,
Batista's in it.
Yeah,
I heard, because there's a sequel coming out too already.
But I didn't think there was anything special about it. I mean, that was one that I guess they started.
It's bother me. I can't think of the director's name.
They started making that one like several years ago, and it was one of those ones where they started during the height of the zombie stuff. Somebody forgot to tell them that, you know, zombies are kind of played out now.
Zack Snyder. Zack Snyder's a director.
Yeah.
I haven't seen that one.
Yeah,
it's like it's kind of like a heist zombie movie mixed together. They have to go in Las Vegas. It's overrun with zombies. They have to steal something out of there. It was okay. It didn't blow my mind, but it was kind of funny.
Another older one I liked was Fido, I think was the name of it.
It's been a while. I need to watch that again. It's been a while.
That one was fun too. I just like the different take on it. You know, like
I like the 28 Days Later. I like the fast zombies because they were different than what we'd seen in 28 Days Later. It was something different.
Yeah,
I need to see that again because I remember seeing it back when I was in my anti-zombie phase. Yeah. So I probably didn't. You know, I probably enjoy it a lot more.
Yeah.
Now, I might check that out. I might put that on my Halloween watch list. So.
And is the Crazies? Is that considered zombies with Timothy?
I love the Crazies.
Crazy is
zombies?
great.
Is that
I
considered
can't remember
zombies?
if it's zombies or if it's just virus. I can't remember. It
It's
was a really good
virus,
movie
I
though.
think. I don't know if that's.
Mm.
I like the remake of that. That was good.
Yeah, it was really good. Michael Clark has a question for you regarding werewolves. Which is better, The Howling or American Werewolf in London?
I'm a Howling fan just because I love both of them, but The Howling to me is so cool. I like how they get that there's a cult and that they're out in the woods and
It's been
this
ages since I watched that.
crazy sexy werewolf woman lures this guy out there. I just love it. I don't know. I like the whole setup of it. I prefer the story, I guess.
Like I just remember watching all of those on old beat up VHS tapes where the tracking was so bad. Like I want to see
the lines blurring.
Yeah,
through it.
I really want to see some of these classics like totally remastered and stuff.
Right.
Just to see what we missed when I was a kid, not supposed to be watching it.
What's King's called? Is it Silver Bullet? Is that what his is called?
Mm-hmm.
Yeah. I love that movie too.
Yeah.
That's classic.
That's got some extra cheese in it.
It's got
It's a King movie, so yeah.
Yeah, it's got some extra cheese in it. So yeah. So do you see yourself sticking with one-off books like that, or do you ever plan on doing a series connecting everything?
I don't plan on doing a series, but I definitely have developed like ideas for sequels for a bunch of my stuff. Like I said, Blood and Rain, I've already got like a sequel in the works for that. Chasing Ghost was a novella I did kind of like a wrong turn. Even though it's called Chasing Ghost, it doesn't have ghosts in it. There's like woods people, inbred woods people in that book. And I have a sequel for that.
That sounds interesting.
A sequel for that's almost done. And I actually talked to Don about possibly doing a sequel till Until Summer Comes Around, which would be because I just want to. A lot of people have messaged me since I put that book out, saying that they would be interested to see how things are with Rocky in November and maybe get some more on my take on vampires, like where do they come from or whatever, what's the backstory, what's the full backstory or what's going on with there. And I think there's a lot there that I could play with, and it would be totally interesting to see how that young romance, if they find each other or something down the road, what it might look like. So I mean, there's a little bit of a spoiler alert on that one, but spoiler alert after the fact.
Do you have anything that's connected at all, sort of like a universe built, or is everything kind of standalone?
I sneak things in. I mean, if you go talk to Janine, she'll probably point them all out.
She's got the grid with all the lines and stuff.
Yeah, she's probably got all
the
that.
dots.
She'll probably say it without realizing she's saying it. Like, oh, I wasn't supposed to tell you guys that.
Right. No, I make nods to my other stuff, like I can't remember. One of the books I wrote, I mentioned the Bruton Inn, which is the name of the hotel in the Haunted Halls. I don't remember which book that was in, but I think it was probably Janine that had just pointed it out to me. I do that though. I'll do like little nods to because all my stuff, 99% of it's in Maine, so I can kind of have my own. I kind of have my own little universe going on, like where I'll mention Route 5 or something, which is where my make-believe hotel was. Maybe mention werewolves, some crazy werewolf story, like talking, or Gilson Creek, which is the name of the town I made up that Blood and Rain takes place in. Just little things. I mean, and you'd have to have read all my stuff, to get it, obviously. But it's in there. I like throwing little things like that in there.
So you're not afraid of
me.
So you're not afraid of doing stuff in Maine. Forget King and everything he does in Maine. You're just gonna take it over.
I guess. I don't know. It's what I know. You know what I mean? I've been to a few different places, and the only other book I wrote out of Maine was a novella called Boomtown, which takes place in Wisconsin. But that's like the only one outside of Maine. I think all my other books and novellas have taken place in Maine, either loosely based off real towns or totally made up towns that I put in there myself. So
with you being a Maine author, is Stephen King an influence for you, or not really? Or
no, absolutely. I mean, I love almost all of his stuff that I've read. I haven't read everything. I'm not like the constant reader that's right there every book that comes out as it comes out. But he's definitely my favorite writer overall. just like picking up any of his books, reading any of his work is like comfort food to me. Like if I'm feeling out of sync with life or reading or anything, if I go pick up any King book that I love, pretty much I can start in and it just all of a sudden feels like home. You know what I mean?
Right.
Just his voice. And it's funny with him too, because he goes on all these sidetracks all the time. Like, and some people hate that. Like they're like, why is he
takes the wrong way. Yeah.
I love that stuff. I eat that up.
I actually don't like it so much when I run across it in other books, but with him, it's just his voice. Like he could tell me anything and I'm in all the way with it. You know what I mean?
Yeah.
I've read some books where you can see someone doing that and I don't like it. When I try to do these little sidetracks, I try to make them as quick as I can. You know what I mean? I try not to get off the path too much because with my own writing, I like it to be very much in a straight line. And I want you to be able to just stay in the story that I'm telling you. If I was better, if I felt more confident at not losing people going on sidetracks, I might do it. And maybe eventually I'll develop some of that skill. But right now I feel like for myself, even though I love when King does it, I feel I don't want to lose the story that we're in. I don't want people going, let's just get back to the story already. I want to know what's going to happen. You know what I mean?
Yeah.
That's always been, that's one of those things that's always in my mind when I'm writing, or especially when I'm editing. But even when I'm writing, I like to just stay straight on the straight line.
So speaking about your style just now, how do you turn someone on to your work? I mean, what is your little pitch when someone's asking what they can find from your work? In a nutshell. I mean, I know we don't have another hour to talk about it, but still.
No, I always just try to give them a book. You know what I mean? Try to kind of feel out what they like, what they're into because like I've written so many different things about different creatures and stuff. I try to find out what they really do like. If they like vampires, I can say, or the Lost Boys, I can say, go read Until Summer Comes Around. If they want werewolves, I send them to Blood and Rain. If they want, something different, I've got a little bit of everything. So I think stylistically, if they like it, if they read the monster or creature or horror that they're into, and they like my style, they're gonna like the majority of my work because I can only tell a story the way that I do. And I think it's even, like I said, even with these 2 Flame Tree books, which I've tried to open up to wider audience with, it's still very much me. Like if you've read The Haunted Halls and Blood and Rain and you read either one of these 2 Flame Tree books, and you love those other books, you're going to love these books too, I think, because you're hoping as an author that people like with me with King, like you just want people to fall in love with the way that you write a story, you know what I mean, and the way you tell it, and the things that make you unique, and that's kind of like how you win people over, I think. So it's been a long, slow process, and I love where I'm at right now, and I hope it keeps building. I hope I keep getting better as a writer and telling these stories in this style, but even better. And I hope that along the way we pick up more and more people that are digging it. So
James is in the chat. He's gonna go buy your Blood and Rain novel as soon as the show's over.
Yes, good, go for it. I love that book.
And Michael Clark, he said he's not a Lost Boys fan, but he Until Summer Comes Around was one of his top reads of last year.
Thank you, sir. Yeah, I know. And a lot of people brought in the Lost Boys section of it, and it does have a lot. Same time period, like 87, 86, 85, whatever, that realm. Side, a seaside town with vampires. I mean, that's pretty much what it's got, kind of some of the atmosphere of the Lost Boys. But, my vampire takes a lot different, and the story's different. So, but it does have those vibes, just that atmosphere, I guess, which I love because that's one of my all-time favorite movies too. So I'm not surprised that I weaseled it in there. So
if you had to pick one book of yours for someone to start out with, what would you recommend? If they never read anything else before, say start with this one.
Oh man. I have a personal favorite, which is Until Summer Comes Around. But Blood and Rain has done a lot for me over the years, and it's been kind of like the gateway drug. People seem to dig it, so that's my most reviewed book, my most well-reviewed book. That and Until Summer Comes Around are my 2 most popular books so far. And August Eyes has been doing really well so far too. But I'd say Blood and Rain is the one I'm most comfortable with. Like, if you want to get Rolfed, that's what you do. You read Blood and Rain.
Get Rolfed. You need that on a shirt. Get Rolfed.
I know. Zachary Walters came up with that years ago, and it's just stuck. So I use it now. I took it. He let me take it and run with it.
So is Blood and Rain? Is it available? Because I know it was with the press that's not around anymore. So it's available now.
Blood and Rain's funny, right? It's the ebook is with Cemetery Dance.
Okay.
So if you want to get the ebook, Cemetery Dance has the ebook. The paperback I self-published.
Okay.
I got the original cover back from Sam Hain finally this year. And then the audiobook is with Fireside Horror, which is Joe Hempel's audio group. And
I know they've been doing stuff like Crossroads, Laurel Hightower. They did that. I think they did the LaRocca book. Things have gotten worse.
Yeah. And the guy they got doing Blood and Rain is awesome. I like listened to a few chapters of it, and it's just awesome. I could listen to the whole thing. You know what I mean? It makes me want to listen to it and enjoy it that way through someone else reading it.
So with the audiobook and having, I guess, a publisher do it, did you get to have any say on who the narrator was going to be?
No, and Joe was in control of that, and I've known Joe forever, so I totally trusted his. I knew he'd find someone perfect for it. So.
Because I've seen like people, I guess, put it out themselves, and they have like auditions, and they listen to different actors and whatnot, pick and choose what they want.
Yeah.
So I was curious.
I've tried that too, and Joe did my first couple of audiobooks before he was doing full-time audio stuff. But it was pretty much when he was getting into it, he wanted to, me and him talked about it, and he said he'd love to try doing my stuff. So he did my first short story collection, Slush, which is amazing. He did such a great job with that. Like, same deal, like listening to, I remember he sent me the samples or whatever. He sent me each story individually, and listening to them, I got like caught up in the stuff. I know what's happening. I know what's coming, but the way he was doing it was like sucking me in and putting me on the edge of my own seat. And I was like, what? How is he doing this?
Is it weird to hear someone read your books like that? Is it kind of a weird experience? It's
awesome. Like another one, Joe also put out with Fireside my second collection, Land of Bones, and it's 14 stories, and he got 14 different audio.
That's
nice. Yeah.
And it's amazing. Like Sean DeRager is one of them. And my favorite audio guy that I like listening to is Matt Godfrey, and he does the longest story, and there's like a short novella called Too Much of a Dead Thing. And he does that. And like, I have listened to that like 2 or 3 times just because I love Matt's delivery, the way he does stuff. And like, so listen to him bring my characters to life with the voices that he does. Blew my mind, and I love it. And I've played it for other people and like got them listening to it. So
then you start listening, like wondering why they put certain emphasis on certain syllables, and like, yes, that's what I meant. No, maybe not, but yes, that's what I meant. Yeah.
Right. Like, it's like saying, it's like being in the, like, if I put it to like, when I write a song in my band, I don't play drums and I barely play bass. So when I bring a song in and I think it's really good, like just the chord progression and the vocals and the lyrics, and then I give it to a band, and these bands that I've been in have like brought them to full life, and it's like sounds way more amazing than I ever dreamt it was going to be when I came up with it in my bedroom. It's like the same feeling that I got listening to some of these performers perform the stories. It's just like, wow, they brought it to life. You know what I mean?
Yeah.
Nice.
Because it can feel like a completely different experience too.
Yeah. Like, so I mean, also, the Land of Bones. I mean, if people want to also get like bite-sized versions of my work and see how they like that, I would definitely recommend the audio version of Land of Bones too, because I loved it. I loved every performer they had in there. It really brought these stories to life, and I love that group of stories too. So I think
that's
Land
really cool.
Bones,
they got so many different people to do it too.
Yeah, that was Joe's idea. He just wanted to do something fun with it, and he was able to land all these great performers, and it came out amazing.
Nice.
Now, correct me if I'm wrong. Did you publish an anthology? Because I think Marcelo was on the other day with us. He said he had a story something with you that you would put out, kind of like maybe a test thing or a teaser thing.
Yep, I did. Well, because I'm trying to do this publishing thing, but it's so difficult and it's so expensive to do right. So I have put out a few books for some friends of mine, and I put out a charity anthology that all the proceeds are going to the Native American College Fund or American Native College Fund. That's separate from what Josh was talking about. Josh was in like, I also, when I was trying to get it started, I was trying to put out like samplers, like just a quick ebook with like 5 short stories from 5 different authors, right? So kind of like in the punk rock realm, we used to have the sampler albums, like Fat Records and stuff would put out with like 12 bands from their label, you know what I mean? Or what would represent their label, even if these bands didn't have records out with them. So I kind of did that with these 2 samplers. I've done 2 of them. I did one a couple of years ago, and then I did another one last year with Josh and Janine were in, along with Brian Smith. I got a story from Brian Smith, the Sisters of Slaughter.
I've heard that one, yeah.
D.W. Gillespie, and I think there was another. Oh, Tim Meyer had a great story in there too. Like people I think would represent what I would like to put out. So that was cool, and it's cheap. It's just like, it's either, I think it's like 99 cents, and you can find both of those on Amazon still.
What are they called again?
I think it's just Alien Agenda Publishing's sampler. I think one's 2018, one's 2020. So those are out there, and those, I got some really cool stories to put out for people. The publishing thing is just like, I want to do it right, so it's difficult to do because I don't have the financial backing to do what I want to do. So I put out a book earlier this year from Brian Fata Steele, which is called Dire Branches, kind of a cosmic horror folklore of Baba Yaga.
There you go.
Familiar with that? But he took this really cool cosmic horror twist to it, and we put that out earlier this year. But it's just like, I wish I could promote it better. I wish you know.
Kev Harrison's The Balance is all about Baba Yaga.
Cool. So, yeah, I haven't read that one.
Yeah.
But yeah, it's something I'd love to be able to do at some point. And every time I think I'm all right, I start getting in a place financially where I think I can do at least a couple of books a year, right? Right. Something happens, life happens. So it's like I haven't been able to get on a good steady groove with Alien Agenda Publishing yet. Like I'm almost there, and then something happens. Like the summer happened, so right as Brian's book was coming out, I made this big change in my life, and hopefully we'll get back on track at some point and do some more work with that. But it's kind of like on the back burner for right now, just because I can't financially do it as well as I want to.
So do you have a site for your publisher, or is it just all through Amazon as of now? It's
just through Amazon, and there is if you go to alien_pub on Twitter, you can keep up with whatever we've got out there.
Okay.
I tried to put a website together, but I'm so bad at it, and I'm so bad at keeping up with it. And there is a website. I don't even remember the name of it right now, but it's
I did find GlenRolfeHorror.com. Is that a different one, or is that the one you're talking about?
That was my website.
Okay.
My blog or whatever that I turned into a website, and I can't keep up with that either. Right? It's like I can't get it to look like I want it to look, and I don't have the skills for all that. So
well, it does say under construction coming Christmas of 2002. So
no, it doesn't say that all.
No, it doesn't. It doesn't say that. I'm sorry.
Yeah, it's even bad.
So it's Alien Agenda, right? So for people, Alien Agenda Pub.
Alien_pub if they want to go to the Twitter page.
Okay, because that the Baba Yaga story sounds dope. I like the witches in Baba Yaga, so I'm gonna have to check that one out.
Yeah, cool, definitely. Brian did a great job, so I'd like to get that one out there.
So we know you're working. We don't want to keep you too long from work.
Your coworker's a champ.
Yeah.
Well, we've had I've got the monitor right here, so I can see what's going on.
Okay,
it's been pretty slow. So
you're buying dinner tonight, so
right.
Yeah. Anything you're reading right now you want to tell us about that we should be looking forward to? You have any inside scoop
of stuff that's coming out?
Or something that you're really involved with reading right now that's already out?
Any fancy blurbs you're giving anybody or anything?
No, not recent, not right now. Like I said, it's been a crazy summer, so just trying to get reset and get going again. You know what I mean? I mean, I've been able to write a little bit, less than I'd like, but reading wise, I've been trying to get. I got into Chandler Morrison this year, so checking out Dead Inside was great. I got the splatter western, which I've started reading and I'm enjoying. I love I'm not as much for the meta stuff that he's got in there as much as the story, because I feel like it takes me out of the story.
That's what I said.
I love the story that's going on. Like his writing is so amazing. He's like one of my favorite writers right now. I think just like style wise, it's so cool how he can get this crazy stuff to work. Well, I don't like a lot of bizarre, weird stuff, but the way he writes is making it work for me. So
like I like the meta stuff, but I wish it was separate from the Western, because I was really into the Western and it pulled me out, and I was really into the meta, and then we switched back. But
yeah, for me. So right now, as I'm reading that, I'm actually skipping over the meta stuff and just going to the next.
Are you?
Because I want to stay in the story. Like that's where I want to be, and I'm really loving the story. So,
have you read any of the meta stuff, or you skipped it all?
I read the first one, and that was it. I was like, no, that just took me out of the story. I'm not doing that again. I want the story. Once I saw that it was happening again, I was like, wait a minute, and then I skipped ahead. So
all the interludes. I wasn't a big fan of Dead Inside, and Jay wasn't either. But I liked all the meta stuff in his splatter western that talked about Dead Inside. How it was kind of controlling him in the covers, on the poster in the back, kind of laughing at him, mocking him and stuff. I dug all that kind of stuff.
I'll probably go back when I finish it and read the meta stuff separately, like you were just saying, like, because I'm interested in it, but I just don't want to get taken out of that story because it's so good.
Yeah, I dug the western part. It was great.
Yeah. So, and I mean, some of my other favorites I'm always trying to push people into reading are like Patrick Lacey's one of my favorite horror writers. I'm not sure what he's up to. I know he got married a couple of years back and has a baby, so he's been busy doing that. But I guarantee he's been writing up a whole bunch of stories, and just because they haven't seen the light of day yet doesn't mean there's not a whole bunch coming. But like I said, A Voice So Soft he put out with Grindhouse Press, and that I love that story. It was fun, and it's perfect for Halloween reading. So if anyone is looking for a Halloween read this year, pick up A Voice So Soft by Patrick Lacey.
Nice. I want to give away with him. I can't remember what book it was, but he sent me one book. It might have been A Voice So Soft.
I really love his style. He reminds me a lot of, like, if for some reason I always think of Wes Craven when I'm reading him. Like I feel like, and I know he's a huge Freddy fan, so I'm sure that he's just got like the blood or something. Like the way his stories read to me always feels like this could be a Wes Craven movie. So,
well, now that you've talked about Wes Craven and Freddy, like that's all I can think of now for August Ties. Like it's totally, I can see that now. I didn't see it before until you mentioned it.
The red,
the red on the cover, but like just the dream world and stuff. Like I didn't put those two together until you all talked about it.
Yeah, Wes Craven knew how to do that, and I think that, like I said, it kind of like I was like, how am I going to pull this off? And then I said, I know who I can research, and I went back to his film catalog, and definitely helped me accomplish what I wanted to do.
Do you have a favorite book you read this year?
I think one of my favorites was Good Neighbors by Sarah Langan. So it was she used to put out a lot of books a few years ago, and then she kind of disappeared for a while. She got family and stuff. But that was a really cool book, Good Neighbors, if you guys haven't seen that one. I read Dead Inside this year, and it was really strange, and I didn't like the very end of it, but I really loved
it. Was very strange.
Like when I thought it could get really good, like you're watching that main character, like he's starting to do things that you never thought he would do. And it actually felt like, I was like, this is precious. This is kind of sweet. And to say that in the middle of that book it just blew my brain that I was even thinking that way. And then of
sweet
course,
doesn't go with that book.
No, right?
It's a book that will never die for some reason.
No, it was like normally that wouldn't be my cup of tea, but he something about the way he wrote it like worked for me. So, I don't know. I'd have to look at a list of things. Like I said, my mind's been all over the place this year. So, I'm looking forward to reading "Come with Me" by Ronald Malfi. I just picked up "My Heart Is a Chainsaw" by Stephen Graham Jones, and
that one's good.
And the new Grady Hendrix book too. So I'm looking forward to getting into those as soon as I can.
Yeah, the "My Heart Is a Chainsaw", that one was really good. I read that one, and then I read The Only Good Indians in like January, February, and that's probably my book of the year right now. I love that book. Yeah,
I read that earlier this year too. I loved that. Was another one I loved too.
So as we start winding down, do you do much social media? Where can people find you aside from your award-winning website?
That's under construction for 2002. I like to show up on Instagram a lot. Like I said, I'll if I'm in the mood, I'll post like just me doing a couple of songs or something, a couple of videos, music stuff. I'm always posting book covers of my books or other people's books that I love that I'm reading, or sometimes I've been trying to put some reviews up there, or was before all this stuff going on. But yeah, Instagram, I think it's under like Rolfe. It's like my first initial and my last name, Rolfe Horror, I think. So, and I think author Rolfe or something for Twitter. I wish I should know this stuff, but
I don't know mine.
I've got the links. The links are down in the description for anybody who wants to click on them.
Yeah, I don't even know mine, and so.
Yeah, I know, right? Like, so yeah, Twitter, Instagram, and Facebook are where I do most of my social media stuff.
Yeah.
So yeah, you can always find me doing something. And I've got a YouTube page. If you Google Glenn Rolfe YouTube, it'll probably bring you right to it or something. So.
Yeah, I saw you're doing sample chapters from August Eyes and some of your music stuff on there.
Yeah, and I once in a while, like I was going to start doing my own show on there. I was interviewing some of my buddies during the pandemic, but then as soon as I had to go back to work, all that spare time I had to do that kind of stuff, dried up. So
no, yeah.
I'd love to get back.
We know all about that.
Too.
Well, some of us know about that. Some of us work at home, Brad, but
it's not my fault, Jay.
Others who actually have a job. Go to.
Hey, I've got it. I turn this way.
I know.
Type, and then I turn this way.
So we want to thank you so much for stopping by and being the final guest of the first season of Paper Cuts. Much appreciation. And yeah, people might be tuning in right now, hearing that it's just season 1. Everyone, we're ending season 1 tonight. We will be back in a couple of weeks to start off season 2, but we couldn't be happier. Glenn Rolfe. August Eyes was released in August, ironically.
Pick it up. It's good.
Pick it up.
He's got that fancy hardcover, too. The hardcovers are great.
Oh, my God. The hardcover is beautiful. Like the spine. Like they've got like one of the crosses on the spine. It's really cool. I don't know if you can see it on there, if it's on that.
Yeah, section. It's showing up.
Oh, I love it.
And we're going to start a GoFundMe fund for his coworker for doing all the stuff tonight while
for being a champ.
Yes, thanks.
While he was hanging out with
Shout out to Elise for helping me out.
Yeah. I mean, he's hanging out with these two bozos while she's doing all the work. So, yeah, totally appreciate it. Season 1 is a wrap, Brad. Any parting words about this?
I'm surprised we made it this far, Jay.
I know.
We haven't fought. We haven't had any super spats.
Right.
I'm kind of impressed.
we'll have stuff about season 1 on Twitter and on our YouTube page and stuff over the next couple of weeks. Just because we're not going to be doing interviews over the next couple of weeks doesn't mean we won't be working on the show over the next couple of weeks. So we'll have stuff together for everyone.
Jay might actually finally do something. My shoulders are getting heavy. That's why we got to have a season break.
Shut your hole. Yeah. I do enough. I do enough. Glenn, thanks so much for stopping by and hanging out with us. Hope we didn't scare you away too much.
Yeah,
no, awesome, guys. Thanks for having me.
Hopefully in the future, I will have you on again. Once you see the name, you're like, oh, no, not those two assholes again. But still.
Block, mute.
Exactly. So that's going to do it, guys. Season 1 is a wrap. Can you believe it? 12 episodes. I think we did 12 weeks in a row, didn't we? Or we may have skipped 1 week, but
pretty
still
close
12
to
shows.
In a row.
Yeah. I'm a little tired.
Good job, guys.
So for our guest, Glenn Rolfe, and we'll have links to all of his socials on our video on Brad's channel. The show will be on my channel tomorrow once everything processes. And then the audio for all of you audio fans will be on all of your favorite podcast platforms. You can check it out along with all the other shows from the season. A lot to get caught up on if you're just now checking out what we're doing. A lot of fun this season. And again, we'll have some best of shows coming up next couple of weeks. For my partner over in crime over there in Brad and Glenn Rolfe, thank you guys so much for joining us in the chat and everyone watching later and listening later. Until we meet again, guys, stay safe. Bye.
Queen Wave. Thanks for coming, Glenn.
Thanks, guys.
Love you, Brad.
Love you, Jay.